Avodah Zarah, לפני, אידיהן, Daf Tes, sponsored for a bracha of Hatzlacha for Yecheskel ben Ari Nesanel. Rabbi Shmuel stated in the name of his father, Rabbi Yossi, that the Romans honored their alliance with the Jewish nation for 26 years. They ruled Eretz Yisrael for 180 years before the destruction of the Second Temple. The background: after the Persian king Darius permitted the completion of the Second Temple, 34 years passed before the Greeks conquered the Persians. The Greek Empire lasted for 180 of the 420-year Second Temple era. The Hashmonaim, as well as the Herodian eras, were 103 years each. These 206 years represented the period of Roman influence before the destruction. Question: this does not coincide with the 180 years stated by Rabbi Yossi. The answer: he did not include the 26 years the Romans honored their alliance with us. The Brisa of Rabbi Yossi's calculation concludes, Tzei v'chashov kama shonim achar hachurban. One who taught this Brisa should conclude his teaching by stating the amount of years after the destruction, or practically, one who needs to determine the age of a chacham, a past event, or date contracts should do so from the date of the destruction. If unknown, he asks a scribe the year he dates divorce documents and other contracts. The background: the minyan shtaros, the dating of documents, began with the ascension of the Greek Empire. This technically began 386 years before the destruction, but did not fully actualize for another 6 years, 380 years before the destruction. If the document was dated 150 years after the destruction, the date 150 plus 380 equals 530 minyan shtaros. The Tana who calculates the years after the destruction simply adds 20 to the last two digits of 530. That equals 50. The assumption is the Tana knows the century, not the units of tens and ones. Similarly, if the scribe is in doubt of the 10 and one's unit of minyan shtaros, he asks the Tana the year after the destruction and subtracts 20. For example, if it is 135 years after, he subtracts 20 from the last two digits of 135. That equals 15. 380 plus 135 equals 415, knowing the century, not the units of tens and ones. The Tana de Eliyahu teaches Olam Hazeh was to unfold in 3 stages. The first 2000 was the era of Tohu, the years without Torah. The second 2000 was the era of Torah. The third 2000 was the Messianic era. Our sins have delayed its arrival. Question: when did the era of Torah begin? It could not have started from Matan Torah because the Torah was given 2,448 years after creation, which means until the Messianic era began, there was only 1,552, not 2,000 years. The answer: it began with Avram's converting his followers, Hanefesh Asher Asu B'Charan. He was born 1948 from creation and was 52 years of age when the era of Torah began, 448 years before Matan Torah. The Tana de Eliyahu ends with the statement, Babanoseinu She Rabu Yatsu Mehen Mashe Yatsu Mehen. Rav Papa devised a method for a Tana to calculate the amount of years. He asks a scribe the minyan shtaros and adds 48. The background: the 5th millennium began 172 years after the destruction of the Second Temple. Creation to the Exodus was 2,448 plus 480 years until the building of the First Temple. That stood 410 plus 70 years of exile between the First and Second Temple. That stood 420 years. Therefore, its destruction took place 3,828 from creation plus 172 equals 4,000. Therefore, the minyan shtaros preceded the Messianic era by 552 years. Therefore, if it is 270 years into the Messianic era, the scribe writes on his documents 552 plus 270 equals 822. The Tana adds 48 to the 22, equaling 70, knowing it is the 2nd century. If the scribe is in doubt, he subtracts 48. it is the year 270 minus 48 equaling 22. Knowing the century, it is year 822 Leminian Shtaros. The next discussion is calculating the year of the Shemitah cycle, the background. The first count began 14 years after the conquest and settling of the tribes in Eretz Yisrael. That count ceased after the destruction of the first temple. After returning from the Babylonian exile, a new count of cycles began. Although the Chachamim and Rebbe dispute if the cessation of Shemitah depends on all tribes residing in Eretz Yisrael as Yovel, Rebbe agrees rabbinically Shemitah applies even nowadays. If one knows the post-destruction year, he can calculate the year of the present cycle by adding 1 to the post-destruction year. The second temple was destroyed the first year of a Shemitah cycle. The post-destruction era began the Tishrei after Tisha B'Av. Therefore, the first year of the post-destruction era begins the second year of a Shemitah cycle. 1 year is added and then divided by 7. This calculation works only according to Rabbi Yehuda. He held Yovel, the 50th year, was the first year of the next cycle. Therefore, every cycle was 49 years divisible by 7. To simplify this calculation, it is the year 721, 7th century of the post-destruction period, plus 21 years. He adds 1 year 22, divides each century into 2 49-year cycles, with a remainder of 7 times 2, which equals 14, plus 22 equals 36, divided by 7, the result being it is the first year of the Shemitah cycle. Rabbi Chanina holds one offered a field worth 1,000 dinars for 1 dinar 400 years after the destruction should not accept the offer. He held the exile would end 400 years after the destruction. The returning exiles would receive their ancestral portions. The buyer would have to forfeit his purchase. A brisa added 3 years to Rabbi Chanina's calculation. If you're enjoying Daf 5, please click on the link below, subscribe, and become a sponsor. Thank you.